Have you ever heard the saying, lightning never strikes the same place twice? Well, for one man in Japan, the deadliest lightning in human history struck him not once, but twice. This is the incredible story of Tsutomu Yamaguchi, the man who survived 2 atomic bombs. It was August 6, 1945. 29-year-old Tsutomu Yamaguchi, a naval engineer for Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, was in Hiroshima on a business trip. He and his colleagues had spent 3 months designing a new oil tanker, and it was finally time to go home to his wife Hisako and their infant son Katsutoshi in Nagasaki. He was on his way to the train station, but he realized he had forgotten his hanko, his personal seal, which he needed for travel documents. So he turned back to retrieve it from his workplace. As he walked back, he saw a B-29 bomber flying overhead. Then a small object was dropped from the plane, attached to a parachute. Suddenly, a blinding flash of light, like a massive magnesium flare, engulfed the city. Yamaguchi instinctively dove to the ground, covering his eyes with his hands and plugging his ears with his thumbs. The force of the blast threw him into the air, spun him around, and slammed him down into an irrigated potato patch. The sound was deafening, a tremendous boom that he later described as the sound of the world ending. When he came to, the sky had turned dark as night. He was less than 2 miles from ground zero. His eardrums were ruptured, and he was temporarily blinded. The left side of his body was severely burned, the skin peeling away. Disoriented and in immense pain, he stumbled through the ruins of Hiroshima. The city was a hellscape. Buildings were flattened, fires raged everywhere, and he saw unspeakable horrors that would haunt him for the rest of his life. He found 2 of his colleagues, Akira Iwanaga and Kuniyoshi Sato, who had also miraculously survived. They spent the night in an air raid shelter, listening to the cries of the injured and the dying. The next morning, the 3 men made their way to what was left of the train station. Against all odds, a train was still operational, heading towards Nagasaki. It was a harrowing journey, packed with other burned and wounded survivors. They crossed bridges that were barely standing, and the train was filled with the smell of burnt flesh and the sounds of suffering. When Yamaguchi finally arrived in Nagasaki on August 8th, he was a ghost of his former self. His face was swollen, his arms wrapped in bandages. He was so unrecognizable that his own family didn't know who he was at first. He went to a local hospital, but the doctor, an old school friend, could do little more than apply ointment to his severe burns. Despite his condition, being a dedicated employee, Yamaguchi reported for work the very next day on August 9th. He was in his office at Mitsubishi's Nagasaki headquarters, describing the unbelievable destruction he had witnessed in Hiroshima to his skeptical supervisor. He tried to explain the single bomb that had wiped out an entire city. His boss dismissed it as impossible. "1 bomb can't destroy a whole city," he scoffed. "You're an engineer. Calculate it. You must be mad." As Yamaguchi was trying to explain the picadone, the flash and the boom, it happened again. At exactly 11:02 a.m., another blinding white light filled the room. The same deafening roar. The same powerful shock wave. Yamaguchi once again dropped to the floor just moments before the blast shattered the office windows, sending glass and debris flying. The second atomic bomb had been dropped, this time on his hometown of Nagasaki. He was once again about 2 miles from ground zero. This time, the blast ripped the bandages from his wounds, but miraculously, he survived without new serious injuries. His world had been incinerated for a second time in just 3 days. He rushed home, fearing the worst. His house had been destroyed, but incredibly, his wife and son had survived. His wife, Hisako, had been out looking for burn ointment for him. When the bomb fell, she and their son took cover in a tunnel, which saved their lives. For the next week, Yamaguchi suffered from a high fever and continuous vomiting, symptoms of acute radiation sickness. The double exposure to intense radiation took a heavy toll on his body. His hair fell out, his wounds turned gangrenous, and he was on the verge of death. But somehow, against all odds, he slowly began to recover. The end of the war was announced on August 15th, and as Japan and the world began to process the new reality of the atomic age, Yamaguchi was simply trying to survive. For many years, Yamaguchi kept his story to himself. He was just one of the many hibakusha, the explosion-affected people, as the survivors were known. He returned to work at Mitsubishi, raised his family, and tried to lead a normal life. But the memories, the physical scars, and the invisible wounds of radiation were a constant presence. His wife suffered from radiation poisoning, and their son also faced health issues throughout his life. As he grew older, Yamaguchi felt a growing responsibility to speak out. He saw the world building more and more nuclear weapons, and he knew he had to share his unique and terrible experience. He began writing poetry about his ordeal and started participating in the anti-nuclear movement. He didn't want anyone else to ever experience what he had gone through. He wanted the world to understand the true horror of nuclear weapons, not as a concept, but as a lived reality. In 2009, the Japanese government officially recognized Tsutomu Yamaguchi as a near hibakusha, a double atomic bomb survivor. While it's believed there were over 160 people who may have experienced both bombings, Yamaguchi is the only person officially certified by the government to have survived both. He traveled to New York to speak at the United Nations and made a documentary about his life. He pleaded for the total abolition of nuclear weapons. He once said, "The reason that I hate the atomic bomb is because of what it does to the dignity of human beings." He wasn't filled with hatred for those who dropped the bombs. Instead, his focus was on ensuring such a weapon would never be used again. His message was one of peace and a warning for future generations. Tsutomu Yamaguchi passed away in 2010 at the age of 93 from stomach cancer. His life is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, but it's also a stark and powerful reminder of the catastrophic consequences of nuclear war. His story isn't just a historical anecdote. It's a vital message for our time. In a world that still lives under the shadow of nuclear arms, the story of the man who survived 2 atomic bombs compels us to listen, to remember, and to work for a future where no one has to endure what he did. Thank you for watching. If you found this story as powerful as we did, please like this video. Subscribe to our channel for more incredible stories from history, and share this with others so that Tsutomu Yamaguchi's message of peace can continue to be heard. We'll see you in the next one.